The star child. Two woodcutters were going home through the forest. It was winter, and very cold. There was thick snow on the ground and on the branches of the trees. The river was frozen. The snow was so deep that the woodcutters went very slowly. They were afraid that they might lose their way. It is very easy to lose your way in the snow. At last they came to the edge of the forest and they saw far down below them the lights of the village where they lived. They were so glad that they rode and then they were sad. Why do we want to live? Life is so hard for the poor. It would be better to die of cold in the forest. Just then a very strange thing happened. A very bright and beautiful star fell out of the sky. It passed the other stars on its way and seemed to fall behind some trees quite near to them. They ran forward. Perhaps there will be a pot of gold where it fell. As the first woodcutter reached the place, he saw that there was indeed a golden thin line on the white snow. It was a coat made of cloth of gold with silver stars on it. The other woodcutter came and they opened the coat so as to take the pieces of gold from it. But there was no gold there, no silver. There was only a little child, asleep. One of the men said, "This is a sad ending to our hopes. What else is a child to us? We are poor men and had children of our own. We must give their food to another. Let us leave the child here." The other man said, "That would be a very bad thing to do. We can't leave the child here to die in the cold. I'm as poor as you are, and I have many mouths to feed and not much food for them, but I'll take the child home with me. And my wife will take care of it." So he took up the child and put the coat round it to keep out the cold and went down the hill to his village. When they came to the village, his friend said, "You have the child, give me the coat." But the other man answered, "That coat isn't mine nor yours, it is the child's coat." Then he went to his house. His wife opened the door and saw that her man had come back safe. She put her arms round his neck and kissed him. He said, "I have found something in the forest and have brought it to you. I'll take care of it." "What is it?" she said. "There is almost nothing in this house and we need many things." He opened the coat and showed her the sleeping child. She said, "We have no children of our own. Why have you brought this strange child to live in our house?" "It's a star child," he said, and he told her how he found it. "Our children haven't no bread. Must we feed and take care of some other person?" "Yes, child." "Who takes care of us? Who gives us bread?" "God cares for the birds and feeds them," he answered. "And birds die of hunger in the winter," she answered, "and it is winter now." A cold wind from the forest came through the open door. "Shut the door," she said. "There is a cold wind. And blow all night I'm cold," he said. A cold wind always comes into a house where the heart is cold. She did not answer, but went nearer to the fire. After a time she turned round and looked at him. And her eyes were full of tears. He came and put the child in her arms. She kissed it and put it in the little bed where her youngest child was lying. The next day, the woodcutter took the golden coat and put it away in a big box. The star child was brought up with the children of the woodcutter. He sat at the table for meals with them and played with them. Every year he became more and more beautiful. All the villagers wondered at him because of his beauty. But the star child's beauty was only on the outside. He was proud and he thought only of himself and was unkind to others. He treated the children of the woodcutter and the other children of the village badly. He said, "They are low and common people. But I am the child of Esther. They are my servants." He threw stones at the poor and those who came asking for help. Go to some other place to ask for bread. We have none to give you. He loved beauty. He hated and glowered at those who were weak and ugly. He loved himself. In summer he sat by the water and looked down at his own face and glowed with joy at his own beauty. The woodcutter and his wife often spoke to him angrily. "We didn't treat you as you treat those who need help. Why are you so unkind to all who need your help?" The star child did not listen to them but went back to the children. The children followed him because he could run fast and dance and make music. They followed wherever the star child led them and did all that he told them to do. When he put out the eyes of a little rabbit, they lowered. When he threw stones at a sick man, they lowered. They became as hard-hearted as he was. One day a poor woman came through the village. She looked like a beggar. Her clothes were old and dirty, and there was blood on her feet, which had been cut by the stones on the road. She was very tired and sat down under a tree to rest. The star child saw her and said, "Look at that ugly old beggar woman sitting under that beautiful green tree. Let's drive her away." So he came near and threw stones at her. She looked at him with fear in her eyes. The woodcutter saw what the star child was doing. He ran to him and said, "Why are you so hard of heart? What has this poor woman done to you to make you treat her like that?" The star child was angry. "What right have you to question me? I am not your son." "That is true," said the woodcutter. "But I was sorry for you when I found you in the forest. I was sad because you looked so helpless. So I helped you." When the old woman heard this, she gave a loud cry and fell to the ground. The woodcutter carried her into the house and his wife took care of her. When she opened her eyes, they brought food to her, but she would not eat or drink. She asked, "Did you say that the child was found in the forest? Was that 10 years ago, just 10 years ago today?" "Yes," said the woodcutter. "I found him in the forest just 10 years ago today." "Had he a coat of gold with silver stars on it?" "Yes," said the woodcutter. He took the coat out of the box and shoved it to her. "He is my little son that I lost in the forest. I have wandered over the whole world trying to find him." The woodcutter went out and called to the star child, "Go into the house. We'll find your mother waiting there for you." The star child ran into the house, but when he saw who was waiting for him, he glowed, "Where is my mother? I see only this dirty old beggar woman." The woman said, "I am your mother." He said, "I am not your son. You are dirty and ugly. Go away. Don't let me see your face again." "But you are indeed my son that I lost in the forest," she cried. She fell on her knees and held out her arms to him. "Thieves stole you from me and left you to die. But I knew when I saw, and I knew the coat of cloth of gold with silver stars. So please come with me. I have wandered over the whole world trying to find you. Come with me, my son. For I need your love. But the star child did not move. He shut his heart against her. No sound was heard except the sound of a woman weeping in pain. At last he spoke, and his voice was hard and angry. If it is true that you are my mother, it would have been better if you had stayed away. I thought that I was the child of some star, not the child of a beggar woman as you tell me. So go away and let me never see you again. Won't you kiss me before I go? She cried. I have suffered so much to find you, said the star child. I would rather kiss a Todo snake. So the woman went away, weeping, into the forest. The star child was glad and ran back to play with his friends. But when they saw him coming, they said, "Go away, we won't let you play with us." And they drove him out of the garden. Why did they say that to me? Thought the star child. I'll go to the water and look into it and it will tell me that I am beautiful. So he went to the water and looked into it. His face was like the face of a toad, and his skin was like the skin of a snake. He fell on the grass and wept, and said to himself, "This thing has come to me because I have done wrong. I have driven away my mother. I have been proud and unkind to her. I'll go and look for her through the whole world, and I won't rest until I find her." So he ran away into the forest. He called to his mother, but there was no answer. He called for her all day. When the sun went down, he lay down to sleep on a bed of leaves. All the animals and birds ran away from him because they remembered what he had done to them. In the morning he rose up and went on through the forest. He asked everything he met, "Have you seen my mother?" But the animals said, "Who put out our eyes? Who threw stones at us?" And the birds said, "Who cut our wings? Who stole our eggs?" The star child wept and asked them to forgive him and went on through the forest. On the third day he came out of the forest and went down into open country. When he passed through villages, the children threw stones at him, and the men drove him away because they feared he might bring sickness to their animals. He could not hear anything of the old woman who was his mother. He wandered for 3 years. Sometimes he seemed to see her on the road in front of him and he called to her and ran after her, but he never reached her, and people who lived near the road said, "No, we haven't seen her." There wasn't anybody on the road. They touched their heads and glowered at him. One evening he came to the gates of a great city which stood near a river. The soldier at the gate would not let him go in. "What do you want here?" he said. "I am looking for my mother," he answered. "Please let me pass, because she may be in this city. Indeed your mother will not be pleased when she sees you. Far uglier than a Todo snake. Go away. Your mother isn't in this city." Another soldier said, "Who is your mother and why are you trying to find her?" He answered, "My mother is a beggar as I am too. I have treated her very badly. Please let me pass so that she may forgive me." But they would not let him go in. As he turned away weeping, an officer came. "Who is trying to enter this city?" he asked. "A beggar," they answered. "And he is the child of a beggar. So we are driving him away." "No," said the officer, going. "We'll sell this thing for easily. The price will be the price of a loaf of bread." A strange old man was passing. He said, "I'll buy him at that price." He paid the money and took the star child by the hand and led him into the city. They went along many streets and came to a little door. The old man touched the door with his ring, and it opened. They went down 5 steps into a garden. Then the old man put a cloth over the star child's eyes and pushed him along. When the cloth was taken away, he saw that he was in a prison. Lit only by a small lamp, the old man gave him a piece of bread and said, "Eat." And he gave him a cup of water and said, "Drink." Then the old man went out. He shut and barred the door. The old man was one of the best magicians in the world. On the next day he came to the star child and said, "There is a small forest near the south gate of the city. In it there are 3 pieces of gold, one is of white gold, one is of yellow gold, and the third is of red gold. Today you must bring me the piece of white gold. If you don't bring it back, I'll be too. At sunset I'll be waiting for you at the door of the garden." Then he put a cloth over the eyes of the star child and led him through the house and the garden and up the 5 steps. He touched the door with his ring and it opened, and he sent him into the street. The star child went out of the gate of the city and came to the forest. It was a beautiful forest. The trees were beautiful, but other plants grew so thick under the trees that it was difficult to press through them, and they cut his skin. He could not find the piece of white gold anywhere. He looked for it from morning till midday and on until sunset. At sunset he turned back weeping, because he knew that he would be beaten. As the star child came to the edge of the wood, he heard a cry. He saw a rabbit. "Set me free, set me free," it cried. "I am its slave," said the star child, "but I can give you freedom." So he set the rabbit free. The rabbit answered, "You have given me freedom. What shall I give you?" "I'm looking for a piece of white gold. Can't you find it? If I don't take it back to my master, he'll beat me." "Come with me," said the rabbit, "and I'll lead you to it. I know where it is hidden." So the star child went with the rabbit and found the envelope of a piece of white gold, hidden in a tree. The rabbit ran away and the star child went towards the city. At the gate of the city there was a man whose face and skin had been eaten away by fearful illness. He had a grey cloth covering his face to hide it from people passing by so that they might not be sick at the sight of it. 2 holes were cut in the cloth for his eyes. When he saw the star child coming, he rang a little bell and cried out, "Give me a piece of money or I shall die of hunger." "I have only 1 piece of money," said the star child. "If I do not take it to my master, he'll beat me." The sick man said sadly, "Please, oh please give me some money, or I shall die of hunger." The star child felt so sorry for him that he gave him the piece of white gold. When the star child came to the magician's house, the magician opened the door and brought him in. "Have you got the piece of white gold?" said the star child. I haven't it. So the magician beat him. Then he said it, but he did not give him any bread. He said, drink, but he gave him a cup with no water in it. On the next day the magician came to him and said, bring me the piece of yellow gold today. If you don't bring it, I'll be twice as hard and keep you as myself. But the star child went to the forest. He tried all day to find the piece of yellow gold, but could not find it anywhere. At sunset he sat down and began to weep. As he was weeping, the little rabbit came to him. Why are you weeping? Said the rabbit. What are you looking for in the forest? I'm looking for a piece of yellow gold which is hidden here. If I don't find it, my master will beat me and keep me as his slave. It'll follow me, said the rabbit, and it ran through the forest till it came to a little stream. The piece of yellow gold was lying in the sand at the bottom. How shall I thank you? Said the star child. This is the second time you have helped me. You helped me first, said the rabbit. And it ran quickly away. The star child took the piece of yellow gold and hurried back to the city. The sick beggar saw him coming, it knelt down and cried, give me a piece of money, or I shall die of hunger. The star child said, I have only one piece of yellow gold. If I don't take it to my master, he'll beat me and keep me as his slave. The sick man wept, and the star child felt so sorry for him that he gave him the piece of yellow gold. When the star child came to the magician's house, the magician opened the door and took him in. Have you got the piece of yellow gold? Said the star child. I haven't. Then the magician beat him and put him back in the prison. On the next day the magician came to him and said, if you bring me the piece of red gold today, I'll set you free. But if you don't bring it, I'll kill you. The star child went to the forest. He looked for the piece of red gold all day, but he could not find it. In the evening he sat down and wept. As he was weeping, the little rabbit came to him. The rabbit said, the piece of red gold that you are looking for is in the cave behind you. So don't weep anymore but be glad. How shall I thank you? Said the star child. This is the third time that you have helped me. You helped me the first time, said the rabbit and ran quickly away. The star child went into the cave and in the farthest corner he found the piece of red gold. He hurried back to the city. The sick man saw him coming. He stood in the middle of the road and cried out to him, give me the piece of red gold or I must die. The star child gave him the piece of red gold, saying, your need is greater than mine. But he was very sad because he knew what would happen to him. As the star child passed through the gate of the city, the soldiers bowed down to him, saying, how beautiful our Lord is. A crowd of people followed him and cried out, there is no one so beautiful in the whole world. The star child wept and said to himself, they are laughing at me because I am so unhappy. There was such a crowd that he lost his way and found at last that he was in the great square. The king's palace was in that square. The gate of the palace opened. The high officers of the city ran out to meet him, and bowed low to him. They said, O our Lord for whom we have been waiting. You are the son of our king. The star child answered, I am not a king, his son. I am the child of a poor beggar woman. Why do you say that I am beautiful? You know that I am ugly as a todo is neck. Then an officer held up a mirror and asked, why does my lord say that he is not beautiful? The star child looked, and he saw that his face was as it had been before, but in his eyes there was something that he had not seen there before. There was love and kindness. The high officers knelt down and said to him, the wise men long ago told us that our king would come to us on this day. Take this crown and this scepter and be our king. The star child said, it is not right that I should be your king, because I had treated my mother badly. Can't he rest until I have found her and asked her to forgive me? Let me go, for I must wander again over the world. Mustn't he stay here even if you give me the crown and the scepter? He turned away from them towards the street which led to the gate of the city. Among the crowd he saw the beggar woman who was his mother, and at her side stood the sick man who had sat by the road. He gave a cry of joy. He ran to them and knelt down and kissed his mother's feet. Mother, he said, I was proud and said, you are not my mother. Now I pray you to forgive me and take me as your son and give me your love. But the beggar woman did not answer. He held out his hands and took the feet of the sick man and said, 3 times I gave you money because I was sorry for you. Ask my mother to speak to me. But the sick man did not answer. Then he said, give me your forgiveness and I will go back to the forest. She put her hand on his head and said, stand up, and the sick man put his hand on the star child's head and said, stand up. He stood up and looked at them. They were a king and a queen. The queen said, this is your father, who helped him when he was the sick man. And the king said, this is your mother. Then they kissed him and took him into the palace. So the star child became king and ruled the country very well. He would not allow anyone to be unkind to birds or animals. He gave bread and clothing to the poor and was just and good to all people. There was peace and happiness in the land.